This is the agenda on SABC News. We now cross live to SABC News reporter Nozintombi Miya, who's monitoring the situation in Diepsloot and Tembisa in Gauteng, where spaza shop owners have been hard hit by the looters. Nozintombi, very good morning to you again. How's the situation right now? I believe you're still in Tembisa Plaza, isn't it?
Yeah, no, it's the last boutique.
Yes, you're quite right, Simpiwe. We are still here in Tembisa Plaza. And I'm just going to ask my camera colleague, Tabiso, to just give you a plan of the area that we're standing at here in Tembisa Plaza, just to give you an idea of what the place looks like. And that you can see that some of the cleanup operation is happening right now. And, I'm standing in front of yet another building that has been vandalized. And to talk to me a little bit more about this particular region is the MMC for Finance here in Ekurhuleni. Thank you so much, sir. Just introduce yourself to us, sir.
It's Councillor Klagaza. I'm the MMC of Finance and Economic Development in the city of Ekurhuleni.
Councillor, it certainly can't be easy for you to be seeing the destruction that's been wreaked in your municipality, in your area. What are your thoughts around the looting that has been taking place here?
Well, it's a loss. It's a loss, firstly, to us as a city of Ekurhuleni, because one, it takes time, to lobby for this type of infrastructure to actually be on our space. When we talk about township economies, we talk about exactly this type of facilities, so that our communities, they don't have to travel far, but also they get to participate. I was briefing the Premier about the sort of opportunities in terms of the local SMMEs that actually get to participate in the upkeep of the center, create the much needed jobs and so forth, but also is a loss in terms of the municipal budget, because we receive at least per month 2.5 million rands, of the budget, which.
I'm just going to cut you there. We're just going to speak now to the Premier that's here. We're just going to try and organize ourselves a little bit, just to get a comment from the Premier. It's quite a bit of a media scrum. The Premier is just going to address us, just to give us an idea of his what he's seen and his observations here. We know that six bodies were found in the mall of Tembisa, and we just want to know from the Premier his way forward.
Yes, today we are in Tembisa. This is the Tembisa Plaza Mall. I am here with the MMC in Ekurhuleni, responsible for finance and the economy. We are not here to inspect. We are with the members of the community here and the non-governmental organizations that are supporting the cleanup, because we want these businesses to be in operation as soon as possible. We have also spoken to the center manager. I must say that this is one of the areas where we lost people. There are 6 people who died in this mall during this period of looting. I am advised that there's a gas explosion that happened in here, and when the fire was lit, and 6 of our fellow South Africans died in the period of that explosion and that activity of looting. It is sad, extremely sad. As we speak now, 26 people have passed on in Gauteng province. Throughout the province from yesterday, communities are cleaning up, and the businesses where there was looting and destruction of some of these areas are coming back in operation. My message has been, let's get our communities to work with law enforcement agencies, to work with the authorities to make sure that the looting stops and the businesses are assisted as immediately as possible to return to operation. I am very glad that throughout the province, from yesterday and today, it's calm. There are sporadic incidences that continued in one or two areas, but the principal focus of the people of the province and the communities from yesterday, and it's continuing today and into the weekend, is cleaning up these areas. Just where we are, this is a shopping center, small in proportion to some of the shopping centers we have in our communities, especially in the townships. This area is small. It's relatively small, but 800 people were working in this area. These 800 people come from the greater Tembisa communities. As you know, since the outbreak of the violence and the looting, those people have not been able to come to work. There are more than 50 businesses. The city of Ekurhuleni leadership is just telling me that there are about 54 businesses. And a lot of businesses that are in here are local businesses. From yesterday, we have also been engaging with those local businesses and the small businesses that are saying it is going to be very difficult for them. Unlike the big businesses that have insurances, some of the people have really invested their very last savings into this operation. What is it that the provincial government is doing? I don't want to promise something that we're still going to have to deal with. The scale of the damage is still being assessed. But certainly there are businesses, small businesses, that are going to need help to return. People who use their last savings, their last investment to get into this area. We have been working on the township fund, which before this outbreak of violence, the township economy fund for township businesses, we have been working on finalizing it right now. I spoke 2 days ago with MEC Pakstow that the time to launch that township fund is now to support those businesses, township businesses, the small businesses. We have been working in partnership with a number of private sector funds and the IDC, which is the Development Finance Institution, on this Township Economy Fund. But because of the number of businesses that are affected, Gauteng has got over 80,000 small businesses that operate in the townships. We have over 80,000 of them. Throughout this week, over 80,000 businesses, even those that were not looted, even those that are not in the shopping malls, including the spaza shops, they themselves were affected because this sporadic incident. If you are running your businesses and you don't know whether you will be next on the line for looting, if you are running your business, you get extremely concerned. So people closed the businesses and just stayed at home. The impact of this is huge on employment because these businesses employ the significant part of the township economy are people who are working in these malls. We are rebuilding now, and it is time to rebuild. But what I want to say is that violence and looting, either by the criminal element or those who have systematically organized this, for whatever reasons they have, is not going to be allowed. It has been stopped in many areas by communities saying that it can't happen in our area. Our economy has suffered many setbacks before. We have had many setbacks. We have been struggling with structural unemployment, a significant number of people who are sitting at home. A lot of them are young people who have not been gainfully employed. And the small businesses have now been, especially the township businesses, have been emerging as significant source of employment. Even if 3 people are employed, even if it's just 10 people employed, the more the small businesses are supported by government, and that's why we in Gauteng have established this Township Economy Fund. sometimes to think that big businesses with big foreign investments are the only way to go. Yes, we do need foreign direct investment. Yes, we do need big corporations to invest in our communities, including setting up operations in our townships. But we want township businesses. We want the women in the township. We want the youth in the township to be able to set up their own businesses and operate. So we are rebuilding. We are cleaning up. The law enforcement agencies across the province have improved their operations. We know the complaint has always been that they arrive late, they come after the fact. And I have been working throughout the night with members of the Executive Council, the MECs, to talk to various sectors, but also ensure that there's improved police response and police visibility. But when you face what we are facing, you can't just say it is the security agencies that must deal with this situation. We need everybody. We need everybody. We need communities. We also have been talking over the last 2 days with this a lot of these centers are also having private security companies. Now there's single coordination between the police and the private security companies just to improve monitoring. But for us, the biggest issue is just grassroots community organization, because the underlying issues we know, the underlying issues to have so many people, to have so many women who you saw joining the looting, to have so many young people easily, readily available to be recruited into violent activities, whether it's during protests or what has been the outbreaks of xenophobic violence, is something extremely dangerous for our country. Those things, we have come out of meetings basically saying that this is time to really get these local economies working for the people. And I call on the private sector. We have many private sector companies, when they come into local communities, they must do this. Let's get local businesses to be in partnership with us. Because when you see that, it is those local business people who stand up to say, we will protect these are our livelihoods. These businesses put bread on the table. So I want to really thank the people of our province who have responded to the call for calm, who have responded to the need to stop the looting. But let me tell you that this calm is something that we must continue to be. We don't want to say that we have overcome, because we don't want another surprise. So we want to be permanently on watch, permanently on guard. We don't want to be hit by another form of this violence and destabilization. We don't want to do that. And from where I sit, even our law enforcement agents, they are the only ones who possess the instruments, the capacity to know things in advance. The communities are able to they've been bringing lots of information in advance. They're able to pick up that there's a vehicle that came in this area without registration numbers, and they were trying to trigger the looting. And let me tell you also what is very important. The people who are looting these ATMs are not just the ordinary people in the townships. The ordinary people in the townships go for the food. The ATMs, the people who come and cut through these machines and get away with the cash, is a very well organized machinery. And that's what the law enforcement agencies must get to understand. There is a modus operandi. In every mall, the first thing that, before people in the community join in the looting, the ATMs are targeted, the machine is cut through with equipment that seems to be well suited for that, and the loot in the form of cash is the first thing where the getaway happens. So what remains is members of the community here So we want to call on members of our communities to really be watchful. We thank them for their response, but it is not over. I think we are on permanent alert. And young people in our communities, we know what your problems are. We know your situation. Many of you have really living on the tenterhooks. Your own dreams are smashed because of unemployment. Those social and economic issues are getting urgent attention, much even greater attention and urgency. We cannot allow this to be harnessed by both the criminal element and the political opportunistic forces. We can't allow that. And we are rebuilding. We are rebuilding the township economy in Gauteng.
Premier Nozintombi Miya, SABC News. Some of the criticism that government has faced is that the walkabouts that have happened have been almost like a PR exercise. You did speak briefly about being high on alert, but is that really sufficient, do you think?
I am not doing walkabouts. You would see what I'm doing. I'm not doing walkabouts. The critical thing is where we are doing a clean-up campaign. We are not doing a walkabout. Where we had to visit areas is where there's been significant loss of life, not just damage to property, but loss of life, because where we have visited, we had 10 people who died in a mall in a stampede. We had to go to areas where this violence is not stopping, like Vosloorus. Where it is sustained, is important that we know who exactly is carrying this out, but we also engage the local community. So the MECs in Gauteng province are out working there, and some of them, you would not see them in this because they are also activating those areas of service. The health services in Gauteng have significantly been disrupted. This week, the vaccination that we had planned for the week did not take place at the scale it was supposed to. And we had been upscaling our vaccination. We have this enthusiastic 35 to 49-year-olds who started registration on the eve of the day, the 15th. They started already registering on the eve of their registration. They want vaccination. That's what we want to do. We want to take vaccines to people. We have had the disruption of the response services, even ambulance services, the supply and delivery of oxygen. But we also have another problem. This violence and stampede, and as we now have new trauma cases. You remember people who end up admitted in hospital, they take the beds that we need to treat COVID patients. So we also have a lot more trauma patients as a result of the stampede and the violence, and in some instances the confrontation where law enforcement have been pushing people back. And I want to say the law enforcement agencies in our province have been very, very well measured. And I think it's important. They've not been using live ammunition because public order policing is to keep the protesters away from causing damage without using live ammunition. But we also know where they were attacked. We know in which areas there was fire concentrated, directed at law enforcement. In those areas, and the law enforcement agencies have gone back because when they are fired at, and we lost one of the law enforcement officers, a member of Ekurhuleni Metro Police was shot at. When they are fired at in that manner by people who are armed, it is only proper that they can't use
the media about the the rebuilding efforts that are going on. He implored community members to work together with the law enforcement in terms of rebuilding Tembisa after it was badly affected by the carnage caused by the looting. And he says that the township economy has been severely affected and the vaccination drive has been severely affected. He's still addressing the media. We had to cut out of that and go straight to Diepsloot, where my colleague, SABC News reporter Mbalehle Mthethwa, is at, and she's standing by to give us the latest on the ground.